Previously on the DCU Daily, James Gunn's revenge on the Conservatives and the internet ? A bizarre and rumoured plot for James Gunn's Superman has surfaced online, which claims the Man of Steel gets dragged into the world of cancel culture. In the league, it's claimed that James Gunn sets up Superman to be battered by social media hate, which apparently makes the Man of Steel feel sad. No, we're not joking. It's further claimed that James Gunn uses a super shit hashtag in the movie which trends and damages Superman's image. But the real twist, Lex Luthor is behind it all, using an army of mutant monkeys at keyboards to flood and troll the internet and tear Superman down. On today's DCU Daily, this is from Rachel Brosnohan, who's playing Lois Lane in James Gunn's Superman. It's not for everyone, Rachel Brosnohan says. Superman isn't for everyone and will surely anger the same old people who don't support ideas of progress and empowerment. She warns that James Gunn warned them at the start of the project that they wouldn't have the support of half the audience, but told them that's not the better half. She adds that it's not for men or women with 60s style ideas. That's why Gunn fans like this idea. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. On TikTok, Mad Mickey's World, and on Snapchat, BMail60 Mick, your host with the most. Whoa! We have got one hell of an episode of the DCU Daily. Welcome to Tuesday's edition. It's only Tuesday, and we got this. I can't wait to get to July the 11th or 8th, or whenever I'm actually going to watch two viewings of this movie in the same day. But a very warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DCU Daily. Get in the comments now and tell me what you think about both things I've just read out. Now, we spoke about the super shit hashtag yesterday. So yesterday we spoke about the Snyder fans reacting to it and me saying it was a bit hypocritical for them to criticize it. They're the ones who don't want Superman in movies to save cats from trees. They want a real world Superman. Well, you know, bots, which the mutant monkeys are an analogy for, basically. So bots and trolls and cancel culture are part of the real world. So Superman is part of the real world in this movie. So what's your problem? So yesterday we talked about objectivity. Today we're talking about escalation, because the fandom menace are very, very upset because they believe that this rumour means that James Gunn is coming after them. The right-wing YouTubers, right-wing social media, Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy Prime, Nerdrodic, and all of them lot are starting to come after James Gunn. But here's the thing, you've got it all wrong. It's not just about you. You always think it's about you, because the right wing always talk about freedom of speech, right? But as soon as anyone uses their power of freedom of speech about them and their boy in the White House, they start getting very mad and try and destroy them. Look what happened to James Gunn, right? They unearthed, don't forget, they knew that James Gunn's problematic tweets were already there. They were already in existence. But they waited until James Gunn was saying stuff that they didn't agree with. So that's what they did. They cancelled him, right? They cancelled him. Because the right wing talk about cancel culture against them, against Gina Carano. But they cancelled James Gunn. They knew what he wrote years ago on social media. They did. But they waited for an opportune, moment. So the extreme left and the extreme right are just as bad as each other. We can't have good things. We can't just have a pure, exciting Superman movie. We have to have this crap, this SHIT, and it's just so sad. It really, really is. But is it a good idea? What I've just read Rachel Brosnohan saying, is that a good idea? She talks about upsetting half the audience. you're not going to have half the audience, right? Look what happened to Rachel Zegler and Snow White. Look what right-wing YouTube did to that. Look what Nerd Roddick did with the Rings of Power. He destroyed that show. It's got okay views, but he's destroyed it. One man on a YouTube channel. Superman is a film that needs to make money for James Gunn and this studio. Needs to be successful, needs to be loved. So I'll tell you what, they must be very, 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 I suppose, confident about the movie to let an interview like this come out. She's talking about progressive, now it's interesting, isn't it? People who support the 60s and 70s, men and women who support the 60s and 70s values won't like this movie. I wonder what she means by that, though. Does she mean it's because Lois Lane is a strong woman? Or how far are they going to go here? It'll be very interesting. Is this just a way to trigger people to get interested in the film, or are they serious? But the mutant monkey thing has escalated. I thought it was just something the Snyder fans were going after, but now right-wing social media, right-wing YouTube are also coming after this movie. And if they want, they will try and destroy it. But right now, it's just a rumor. So, you can't prove if this is true. But considering the rumor comes from, is about mutant monkeys in a parallel universe, and we've heard rumors, I've heard rumors about the test screenings and the films, and there is some kind of, pocket universe. And it looks like the mutant monkeys are in Lex Luthor's pocket universe, spreading all these all this negative propaganda, disinformation about Superman. So what Gunn's doing with the mutant monkeys, he's saying the mutant monkeys are bots, spreading false propaganda. So they'll be, so this is not just about cancel culture. They've actually got it wrong. What he's doing with the mutant monkeys, he's using them as, as an analogy for bots spreading propaganda. But I don't believe he's just talking about right-wing conservatives. He's talking about the left, the right. He's not just talking about politics. He's talking about what goes on social media in general. And of course, he's talking about what happened to him. Now, his tweets were very, very disturbing. We saw pictures of him in fancy dress. I don't want to go into that too deeply. Now, none of that proves that he's done anything himself. Let's be clear about that, because the Snyder fans, some of them have made some very, very big accusations. And they're lucky they're not standing in court by now being sued for every little bit they're worth. You've got to be careful when you make accusations. You've got to make sure you can back them up. And the Snyder fans can't back up the one thing they're accusing him of. So this is why when I talk about James Gunn positively or negatively, I talk about him creatively, as a writer, as a director, and his ego for a little bit, right? But I don't go there. I never go there because there's nothing to go there with. I can't prove anything. What you're looking at with those comments and the fancy dress party is circumstantial evidence. And, it's not even that. It's not even that. So we've got to be very, very, very careful, right? So, what we're talking about here is James Gunn creatively. So, it's going to be interesting what Rachel Brosnohan means by being progressive. Lois Lane is an independent, strong, caring, compassionate woman. I've always looked up to Lois Lane. I mean, I was born in the 70s. I loved Lois Lane. My brothers loved Lois Lane. My sisters loved Lois Lane. Even my father, who was very old-fashioned, loved Lois Lane. A progressive lady, right? She's a hero in her own right. So unless they're pushing the empowerment narrative to the extreme level, as extreme Hollywood do and entertainment do, there shouldn't be a problem as far as I'm concerned. So we will see what happens there. But, there is a little flag, right? And I think it's a rainbow flag. It's an LBGTQ flag, right? So, which is interesting, right? So what are they saying? Is Jimmy Olsen going to be gay? Don't care if Jimmy Olsen's gay, by the way, right? But imagine after all that, I mean, they're hinting towards a romance between Lois and Clark and Superman. What if she comes out gay by the end of the movie? Who knows? Who knows what they're playing at here? Maybe they'll say Superman. Maybe Superman comes out as gay, right? Maybe Lex Luthor's gay, right? Again, that wouldn't bother me, right? We will see. I mean, look, I don't know what crazy stuff Gunn's gonna pull here. We have to see this movie before we can judge it. But as usual, the men with the flames with sticks are on their horses and they're ready to come after anyone who doesn't have their narrative. Is your mental health okay? Is it? Are you feeling healthy? Are you feeling happy? It's difficult, isn't it, hearing all this negative stuff? We're looking forward to a pure movie, and it's hard, isn't it? Are you okay? Are you feeling a little bit upset? I don't blame you, because we were just looking for a fun, exciting Superman movie. That's what we thought we were going to get. But it's all about, these different narratives. People can't agree to disagree. I wish people were more like me and could agree to disagree. That's why I have fun on X-Twitter all day, right? Because people know I'm having a laugh. I can disagree with you, right? But I can have a laugh disagreeing with you as well. And just reading the tweets of right-wing, like people like Nerdrodic, people like Mauler, I don't even know if the guy's right-wing, by the way. They're talking about reading the bad spoilers for Game of Thrones Season 8 because they're the judge and jury. They get to decide if Season 8 of Game of Thrones was bad, right? And then, the people they've hypnotized, right? They blow their flute and everyone follows, right? This is how it works. So I want you to try something very, very old-fashioned. Hold off on those white horses. Hold off on the sticks with the flames on. Go watch the movie. Go watch the movie once, right? I implore you. And judge it for yourself. I'm going to go and watch this movie twice. I'm going to go and watch this movie twice on release day, and then I'm going to review it. And we're going to calmly sit here and discuss it. And that's what sane people do. But if the right wing want to talk about, freedom of speech, then Gunn has every right to have his right to reply. He's going to use this movie to talk about cancel culture. He's going to use these mutant monkeys as bots spreading propaganda. As I say, I don't think he's just talking about the right wing. He's talking about the left wing and the right wing, or any piece of discourse on the internet. This is what you all wanted, Snyder fans. You wanted Gunn to depict Superman in the real world, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So, I'd rather he wasn't doing this. I'd rather just have a pure Superman film that we can come together and enjoy. But as you can see, she's quoted Gunn in saying half the audience are not going to be happy, but not the better half. That's a statement. That's a statement of intent by James Gunn, isn't it? That's going to be very triggering to people. Is he talking about the right wing? Is he talking about toxic people generally? It's very, very interesting, isn't it? It's the whole thing. If you don't think what I think, you're a bad person. Now, look, when she talks about 60s, values from men and women, I don't think a woman's place is in the home. My mum was a housewife, an old-fashioned housewife, right? That's what she wanted to do, right? She was a career lady, then she decided to have children. She wanted to stay at home. She was happy for my dad to go to work, right? My dad was really old-fashioned. He wanted her to stay home. I don't agree with that, but she made that decision, and she was sewing stuff and making money. That was her choice, right? No one forced her to do that. I believe in female empowerment. I believe in everyone being treated equally, So I don't have a problem that Lois Lane is a career woman. But I will have a problem if she bullies Superman and puts Clark down and calls him names, and he's just the beta who takes it. That is a problem to me. It depends how extreme they take this thing. But ultimately, beyond that, I told you I enjoyed a Doctor Who episode that had the term the planet incel. So I can look beyond the entertainment industry's extremism. So we shall see. But I am not overly upset by this. I just wish they weren't doing it. And hearing Rachel Brosnohan talking about the better half of the audience isn't going to go down well to the rest and everyone else. And there lies the problem. Can this film make money when statements like this are being made?